Hello, I'm Bill Lockwood. This is what I call Writing for the Bible brand. We're interested in the Bible and what the Bible has to say regarding different cultural issues and different issues that are involved in America right now. I'm joined by my friend MC Hammer, and he's always been a good pulpit from which to preach, and so let's think about one issue that I think is important, and that is multiculturalism. What does the Bible say about multiculturalism? Well, let's first of all back up into Bible history and note some things. You know, the Israelites had been taken to captivity pre-Christ years. That would be in the BC years. They were taken to Assyrian captivity, 722, and then 10 northern tribes, most of them lost to history. Then the southern kingdom taken by the Babylonians. And when they came back, they had also some Babylonian influence in them, as well as later other nations had impacted Israel as well. So what came about in the 3rd century, actually 3rd and 4th century BC, was that the Greeks under Alexander the Great came storming into the area and took Palestine. And so the whole area was Hellenized. That was a Hellenistic culture. As a matter of fact, the Maccabees tell us that would be an intertestamental period in the Apocrypha, tells us that the Greeks built a stadium and the athletes actually trained and competed in the nude. That, of course, was much to the chagrin of all of the Jews. They were upset about it, obviously, and that wasn't something that was the strength of Israel. I say that because not too long ago someone wrote me and said, well, you know, multiculturalism is the strength of America. That's one reason we're looking back through this. Is that right? Well, that wasn't the strength of Israel. Then after Israel, then came Rome. 63 BC, Pompey the Great came marching into Israel, took all of Israel, and not only was it Hellenistic culture, but now it was a Roman culture. That was from Italy. As a matter of fact, Pompey the Great and the Roman Empire, they appointed different individuals for different offices, and one of them they made a king. His name was Antipater. They put John Hyrcanus as the priest, and that was, of course, something that was unbiblical outside the Bible, because the Bible tells us in the Old Testament all of the priests were to be taken from from the family of Aaron, tribe of Levi. But now we have John Hyrcanus, who was not from the family of Aaron, so now he's serving. Antipater now is one of the kings, and his son comes to the throne. His name is Herod the Great. And the culture was so mixed that it was never a pretty sight. And finally, in 70 AD, it all collapsed. They didn't mix together at all, because we have a paganistic culture and a culture that had been given by God. Two different cultures, and they didn't mix. Let's turn attention to America. Several years ago, Rick Santorum ran for the President of the United States, and he made a comment during his presidential campaign. He pointed out that his family had come from Italy. His great-grandfather, or I think it was his grandfather, had come from Italy and had set up a business in Pennsylvania. But he appreciated the culture of America, and he actually assimilated to that culture. But what we are seeing today is not people assimilating to the culture of America. By the way, the word culture has in it the word cult, which has religious connotations. That which a culture is based upon is religious principle. Dan Smoot, 1994, wrote regarding America, talks about the remarkable facet or remarkable aspect of American liberty, and it was built upon God-given foundations. That is to be the Declaration of Independence. Matter of fact, if you read the Declaration, it reads like a theological document, doesn't it? You read it in the school system and you think, well, you're teaching a Bible class, because they're so unused to hearing words like Thomas Jefferson wrote in the Declaration of Independence. Our Constitution built upon also God-given liberties. All of America founding was really God-given. But what we're seeing today is completely different. We're seeing people that are not assimilating to the culture at all. And we're seeing a huge divide in America. A professor at the University of Vermont by the name of Toscani points out this. He says, what is being taught is multiculturalism, as everybody knows. But multiculturalism, he points out, here's the definition of it. Let's get this. He said it is to say that all value systems and all moral systems are equal. Is that right? No, it is not right. No, as a matter of fact, biblical values are the only eternal and only true values. Those are the ones upon which America was built, but instead now we have the idea of multiculturalism, in which we're looking at different value systems from different cultures of being equal value to Christianity. Absolutely not. I deny that. But that's what's happening. Not only so, but Alex Newman, commenting on Toscani's statement regarding multiculturalism, says that simply leads to anarchy. And isn't that surprising? Anarchy? We have professors in colleges, one of them right here in Wichita Falls area, Midwestern. Nathan June, he teaches, he's specializing in anarchy. He writes in anarchy journals, and he tells us that anarchy is really postmodernism. What's postmodernism? Nothing right, nothing wrong. Whatever you want to do is fine. Anarchy, no law. As a matter of fact, on one of his Facebook posts, he has abolished the police. Is that what we've come to in America? Abolish the law enforcement? Apparently so. And if you look on the internet, you'll find it from Washington and Oregon all the way to Vermont, all the way through the East Coast. That is, multiculturalism has led to simply anarchy. It's absolutely essential that Christians be aware of this. Paul tells us in Ephesians chapter 6, finally be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you might be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. What are the wiles? The wiles are the stratagems of the devil. For our wrestling is not against flesh and blood. That is not about people, but it is about principalities, about powers, against world rulers of darkness, spiritual host of wickedness in heavenly places. Paul tells us in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 1 through 4, that it's about philosophies and ideas and concepts. That's what the spiritual warfare is about, and we need to be prepared for it. So he tells us, put on the whole armor of God, that you might be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. So stand strong. Multiculturalism is that which destroys cultures, just as it had in the Old Testament period, coming up into the Roman period of Israel, absolutely decimated it, and Israel is no more as a nation. 70 AD showed that. Is that what's going to happen to America? Well, if we don't start all of us rioting for the Bible brand, that's exactly what will happen to America. Let's go to the Word of God. That is the only ultimate standard by which we shall live and by which we shall be judged.